So, Roger,
Yo.
Where do you go after adventuring?
Dude, the Red Dragon Inn, of course. You can drink, gamble, roughhouse with your friends, but you know what? Keep an eye on your gold, or else they're going to throw you out and make you sleep at the stables.
Good Lord.
It's an amazing game produced by SlugFest Games.
Guys, check out our friends at SlugFestGames.com for more information. Hey, you guys in capes! And you rogues who are sneaky! Thank you for tuning in! Roger's not here this week, but Chris and Jason will entertain the geeky. That's what I'm talking about.
I didn't know where you were going with that whole intro there, but I know the end of it because I've listened to the show.
Yeah, then that's good. That's good. That's one of the prerequisites for running your own area of the show.
Well, all right. I'm good then.
Yeah, you're basically there.
All right.
What's going on, Jason?
Not much, Chris. Excited about going to see Spider-Man tonight.
Oh, it's tonight.
It's happening.
You know what's funny is when people hear this, it's not actually going to be tonight, like that night.
I mean, that's cool. They'll know that we were stoked about it. You know,
it was exciting nonetheless.
A little peek behind the curtain about the magic of this. That even though it's about to be Spider-Man, it won't be when you hear it. So enjoy Spider-Man.
Basically, what you guys need to do after you listen to this and you're like, I wonder what they thought of Spider-Man. There's going to be a full review on Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to sit down. We're going to bash that review out and bash it out. That's a bad way to put it.
We're gonna hash it out.
That makes it sound like there was something wrong. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna review the hell out of it. It's gonna be really nice.
Yeah.
I hope. I don't know.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to talk about it. You know, once I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because up until now, it's just been speculation about what we can expect, how the movie's gonna be structured. Although, you know, previews would show you almost exactly that if you watch them all.
Well, I mean, you've got the structure of the movie that we're wondering about here, but the hype for this movie has been freaking insane. Like, I think this is probably the best movie hype in the last, 5-6 years.
I mean, it's a big one, right? It's not only Spider-Man being handled creatively by people who respect the character and know how to bring him to a big screen, as they've shown us many times with the other characters. It also is just an opportunity for us to see a teenage Peter Parker, to see a character that we can relate to.
A real teenage Peter Parker.
Can relate to. Yeah, absolutely.
Not a 30-year-old teenage Peter Parker.
I mean, that was, Tobey Maguire was just, he looked like an older man. He's supposed to be in high school.
He was like a full-grown man.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one.
No.
That was weird.
This kid at least looks like a kid.
Yeah. Well, then there was the cool guy Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield.
He was just too suave.
He was fucking awesome.
Yeah, he carrying a skateboard around. He had cool hair,
He did. He had the Twilight hair.
He did have the Twilight.
Edward Cullen Twilight hair.
And he did have the Twilight hair. Andrew Garfield, what were you thinking with the Twilight hair?
That's why you hated that movie so much, or those movies, if you will.
I think that's why. Yeah.
Now
that you mention it,
you were like, I'm waiting for him to glisten in the sun, but pretty sure that's Edward from Twilight.
No, truth be told, I don't think Andrew Garfield's that terrible of an actor.
He's a good actor.
He's just not Peter Parker, right?
No, yeah, you're completely right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the kid that they've got now, build and everything, I'm sold, dude.
Yeah.
Peter Parker's 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah. And I like the costume, too.
Costume's sweet.
I'm excited to see him put on the old costume, because we didn't really get, other than a little YouTube clip, to see him in the old costume, I'd like to see that.
I'm interested. I feel like this is a cross between the Iron Spider suit and what Spidey's suit really is, and I think that's really fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, technologically, you're talking about Stark Tech, right? So, I mean, it's obviously going to take, the Iron Spider, or if you read Superior Spider-Man,
which is an incredible suit.
Was modeled after the Iron Spider.
Or the stealth suit.
Or the stealth suit.
Stealth suit's amazing. That's what Kane Parker wears. Did you know that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. No, but the stealth suit, that thing heals itself and stuff.
Right. Also, they might be incorporating other things in order to kind of connect the character to Miles Morales, because Miles Morales is a character that is now Spider-Man. We all kind of love him. Peter Parker's still around, but it's older adult Peter Parker.
30-year-old Peter Parker.
Right, but Miles got powers that were different from the Spider. Like, he can be, light sensitive, light negative. I'm sorry, not light sensitive. Light negative in, direct sunlight. So he can kind of be like Predator invisible.
Yeah.
Right? He can also move faster. So, not Flash speed, but still pretty fast. So there was the tech suit might be a way of incorporating other things that the fans really enjoy right now into one single Spider-Man character.
Well, I think it's a fair way to do it and a good way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you got the most brilliant scientist on the planet in this universe.
Yeah.
In this universe. Because if we had, like, a Mr. Fantastic there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
He's the smartest guy in the universe.
Oh,
for sure.
that would be sick. Or a Dr. Doom, even.
Yeah, well, you gotta hope that Fox has some terrible times in the future.
They did on their last Fantastic... You know, you can get that motherfucker in $5 bins now.
Well, sure. I mean, you know, the Fantastic Four movie was a flop. But, like, Logan, Deadpool, even X-Men Apocalypse, while I didn't think that was the best one they made, still was a critical success, right? So... They're riding success right now. Even though one movie flopped, they got enough money based on the success.
Well, like with Hugh Jackman, I'm going to get so much heat for saying this right now. One, he wasn't the right casting choice for Wolverine. Sorry, guys. He's way too fucking tall. Hugh Jackman is 6'2" and weighs like 250 pounds. He is a big fucking man. Wolverine is like 5'4" in the comics. So in a casting scenario, you're probably not going to find a guy that's 5'4" and built like a brick shithouse. So you're going to settle for somebody that's 5'8" or 5'9", not 6'2". He is not taller than Cyclops.
Right. They were also trying to make him the star of the film. So
I don't care.
You know, they got a good-looking guy that's chiseled and
Australian as fuck.
Yeah, you know. I agree with you, though, that he's too tall.
And he was in a bunch of shitty movies. A bunch of shitty X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Really bad movies.
He's been a part of the worst ones.
But they tugged on our heartstrings a little bit, and they were like, look, for the last 17 years, you've been going to see movies with this guy. And then they did put him in a good movie. Logan was a good fucking movie.
I thought The Wolverine was a good movie.
It was okay. I
mean, the same director
did both films. It wasn't memorable.
I don't know. I remember The Silver Samurai.
I wanted The Silver Samurai to be a little cooler than he was. I want Omega Red too.
Well, Harada's in the movie. Harada is the guy with the bow and arrow in the Wolverine. That is the Silver Samurai in the comics. So when I heard his name is Harada, I was like, oh, there he is. Cool.
Neato.
He's gonna get his cool little armor suit later, which is not what happened at all.
Yeah.
And it was some old dude with a, grudge and a boner to steal all the powers from Wolverine.
That's right.
So it was a little disappointing.
But,
in that regard.
Again, I felt like they just kind of tugged at our heartstrings and they were like, here we go.
Yeah.
Here you go. But they gave us a good movie. I'm cool with that. I like Logan a lot. It was a fun flick. Really good take on that. But then there's this whole aspect of, hey, this isn't like canon.
Well, sure. I mean,
and that's kind of sad.
Well, I mean, the real reality of X-Men, even as a comic, is there's so many different timelines, there's so many different things going on. What is canon? What isn't canon? The comics have tried to keep it singularly focused, but they fail all the time, and it's just a big chaotic mess.
Well, and that's you switch writers every couple of years, and that sort of thing's going to happen.
I mean, some people stick with it. Bendis stuck with it for a long time, and his run was great, but eventually it changes.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite run of Spider-Man, since we're talking about Spider-Man? And then what's your favorite run of X-Men?
Okay, so my favorite run of X-Men is definitely Second Coming.
Second Coming? Okay.
It ran through all 4 X titles that were going on at the time. So New Mutants, X-Factor, X-Force, and Uncanny X-Men. So it ran through all 4 of those titles, and it was the story of Cable bringing Hope back to the proper timeline. Hope is like the mutant. They think she's like the mutant messiah.
Hope Summers, yeah.
Yeah, Hope Summers. So they bring her back to the timeline as a teenage girl, and all hell breaks loose. And the living Sentinel Bastion has resurrected a bunch of the X-Men's old enemies, like William Stryker and Donald Pierce and all these people who were dead. And they are just attacking the X-Men on Utopia, which is their island nation. And it's great. It's just so good from beginning to end. Getting rid of my comics, that was one story I had to keep. I got rid of a bunch of comics, but I kept that one.
What about Spidey? What's your favorite Spidey run?
So Spidey is Ultimate Spider-Man, definitely. It had its ups, it had its downs, but for 200 some odd issues, I think 200 is what they got to. It was just gold. It was just a really well written book. Bendis stuck with it the whole time. Mark Bagley stuck with it as the artist for most of it, and he even came back to do the finale when they killed Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe. It was just all around my favorite run on Spider-Man. What about you?
X-Men run. I don't know. Uncanny X-Men from the 90s.
Okay.
And it's that was basically the X-Men that I had the most exposure to, and I had unlimited access to that because my uncle was reading that series.
Okay.
So the comics were always there for me to pick up and thumb through.
Sure.
And it's not a particularly great story or anything like that. It was,
I mean, there was some good stuff in there. Did you
it's a fun
read
read.
the Legacy Virus stuff?
I did read the Legacy
Yeah,
Virus
I
stuff.
mean,
The
those
Legacy
Death of
Virus stuff
Colossus.
is good.
Yeah, it was really good.
Then Spider-Man, I've said this on this show 100 times, Superior Spider-Man. It's so good.
It really was.
And they go back to it like every few months. I feel like they'll do like a little Superior Spider-Man comic. Oh, hey, this is what was going on when Octavius was here.
Well, they definitely did do some things. Well, they brought back Dr. Octopus very recently during the Clone Conspiracy.
Yeah, I saw that.
But they have gone back to it for what is essentially the 32nd and 33rd issue of the book, where it was a Spider-Verse tie-in. So there was a moment in Superior Spider-Man where he like jumped through a portal and then reappeared almost instantaneously, but his like costume was all torn up and he was breathing heavy and he looked like he was just in a fight. So what they did is they told us that in that split-second moment, he spent months as part of Spider-Verse. Yeah. Right? Fighting Morlun and the vampires, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a character that I think they got rid of too soon.
Oh, way too soon.
Yeah.
But that was because of fan backlash. Like, so Superior Spider-Man, they were pumping out, oh my God. Like, that comic got more books out, I feel like, in a month. Than a normal story does.
That was part of their initiative when they were releasing books twice a month.
Yeah.
Every now and again, comic companies do that for just like a boost of cash. Like DC's doing it right now. It's working for them because all the books that are releasing twice a month are great.
That's good. That's good. Well, I mean, that's how Superior Spider-Man was. So that was a good fucking story.
It really was.
But it ran for like a year. I think it was exactly a year.
It went like 31 issues, 32.
31 issues. So divide that by... I mean, we're basically right at a year. Yeah. Give or take a month or so. Yeah. That should have been like a 2-year run easily.
Oh yeah, I think they definitely could have stretched it out to at least 50 issues. I mean, they only had 20 more to go at that point.
Yeah, and it was so good.
It really was. They rushed to get Peter Parker back, I think, in time for an Amazing Spider-Man movie to come out. If I'm remembering that right.
But they weren't even.
I think it was when the rebooted Amazing Spider-Man came out. I know there was a reason for it. Like they had pushed it back to Peter Parker quickly.
I thought it was because of fan backlash.
I mean, the fan backlash was harsh, but then the book was amazing. So even hardcore fans of Peter as a character had to agree that this was still the book they loved. It was just being presented to you from a different perspective. And Ock's perspective is a little bit twisted.
It was awesome.
But he got a lot of who he wanted to be in the final moments of Peter's life when they kind of connected. And he saw Peter's life for what it was, the sacrifices that Peter makes.
It was awesome.
And he vowed to be better, right?
Yeah.
So that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah. I still, like, anytime I pick that up, I remember reading the last panel, and he's like, and you are the Superior Spider-Man. That's not the last panel, but that's in the last few pages of the book. He's like, you are the Superior Spider-Man, Peter Parker. Right. Get in there. And I got goosebumps, and I was like, ha! Yeah. And then, he goes out and starts fighting Norman. And Norman's like, oh shit, it's you. And he's like, you're damn right it is.
Yeah, Norman knew immediately that Peter was back.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's night and day difference.
Right.
So it was fucking sick.
That was also Norman with his facelift to make him look like a different dude.
Yes.
Oh, that was great. He was orchestrating all the goblin stuff.
It was so good, dude. Yeah, it was so really good.
It was.
So, okay, because we were just talking, and I'm like, oh, I got goosebumps, reading that panel.
Yeah.
What are some points at reading a comic? Because this is something that we geeks get pretty excited about. So you're reading a story, and there's something pivotal that happens. In Fear itself, for me, there's a point where Captain America picks up Mjolnir.
Yeah,
and he's got the shield and Mjolnir. Horrible series, but man, that was fucking cool. And I had this raging nerd boner when Captain charges into battle with fucking Mjolnir, and it was so like that was good for me.
Yeah.
What are some moments for you that were like that? Like you get goosebumps reading it and you're just stoked.
So, I mean, I stoked is the wrong word for this one. I think what you're talking about can hit you on any emotional level. And
okay, that's fair.
Particularly hit me when I was reading X-Men Second Coming, and because we were talking about it, I'm reminded of a moment.
Death of Colossus?
Where, no, Death of Colossus was Legacy Virus. This was Death of Nightcrawler.
Okay.
And they're in a fight with Bastion, and Hope's there, and Rogue's there. She's got other people's powers. She's got like Wolverine's claws, and she's got wings, and whatever. She's all loaded up with powers, trying to get Hope back to Utopia.
Yeah.
And a pretty brutal battle ensues, where you kind of see Hope a little bit kind of become the mutant you know she will be, right? She's going to be very powerful, and it's a little bit of it, right? It's a very small moment. And Bastion repairs itself. It's a living sentinel. It's basically a sentient machine. And as it's repairing itself, it has a moment where it goes to attack Hope, and Nightcrawler teleports into the path of its arm, and the arm literally ends up inside of his chest.
Just this heroic act to save her.
And I remember, turning that page and seeing him with that hand in his chest, and I just closed the book. I was just like, nope! I can't even do it. I was at the store. I was a customer then, and people were like, what? I'm just like, I can't even talk about it. This is Wednesday, and it just came out, and oh my God! I don't even want to read it anymore. And I think Capuano was there, and he was just like, what are you talking about? And he came over, and he was like, are you talking about, whispering at me, and I was like, yes. I don't even want to read anymore. I'm done reading this book. And he was like, no, you got to push through to the end. You got to push through to the end. I was just like... So I picked the book back up, and I got through the whole story, and yes, it was great, it was heroic, it was noble, but it was like one of my best friends had just died, or my dog got ran over by a car.
Heart-wrenching.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is a character that I have loved ever since I knew who he was.
I don't think anybody has ever not loved Nightcrawler, though.
He's very likable.
So, you were a nerd in the 90s. When Deadpool first came out, he was fucking annoying.
He was.
Nobody really cared about him.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a douchebag mercenary guy.
You're like, okay, whatever. And then, he recently had his, his big push in the last 6 years, I'd say.
Well, they started changing him as a character after they said he agreed to be part of the Weapon X program. And apparently that made him crazy. He lost his mind, and he became the lovable, funny, fourth wall breaking guy that we all know today. But at the beginning, he was just like any other soldier guy. He was kind of funny, and he had some moments.
Yeah. But
he was just a mercenary. He was just a merc for hire, That's who he was. And the psychosis obviously showed that this is how the character should be presented, and this is what everybody loves, and we're about to see a new movie about just that character. So yeah, I mean, there's moments for Deadpool that are really good, and there's moments that are just not so good.
Well, where I was kind of going with that, though, is Deadpool was just that wasn't a character that everybody loved right out of the gate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But everybody loved Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever been like, fuck Nightcrawler. You're like, dude, you're fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's just super likable. He's got the religious aspect with which, kind of adds to the whole irony of his being as looking like a demon, but being a holy man, so there's all of that going on, too. Yeah, fun.
I liked it talking about Nightcrawler in bad X-Men movies. I actually liked his accent in X2.
Yeah.
But in the circus, I was the incredible Nightcrawler. I was like, ha! Yes. Cool. Yeah. I like that. And then it was just bad.
I thought X2 was okay. I think X3 is where they took
X3 is where it totally toilet tanked, man.
But I think X2 had some moments, right?
It had cool
Colossus moments. And Wolverine at the mansion.
It definitely had cool moments. Don't get me wrong there. And we got a cool video game out of it that Mark Hamill did Wolverine's voice for.
That's true. X2 Wolverine's Revenge. That was a great game.
It was a great game.
Wendigo and Sabretooth and Weapon X and Sinister. It was so good.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just telling my kids about it because we were watching a video on voices that Mark Hamill's done. And I'm like, I have that game. And they're like, you do? And I'm like, hell yeah, dude. GameCube.
Yeah. I had it on PlayStation 2, personally.
Did you?
Yeah.
So, I had to bust it out, and they were like, this is amazing. I was like, I know.
It was a great game. It not only did it really capture who Wolverine is as a character, but also a really fun, engaging narrative.
Oh, the narrative
that you really
awesome.
wanted to keep going with.
It was awesome, man. Game was so well done. Well, and I loved that they would do these scent trails in it.
Oh God! When you would hit a button,
you'd go. It was like your stealth mode or whatever, and man. You'd see I smell that motherfucker's cologne. Let's go rip his face off.
Right. The instant sneaky kills you could pull off.
Oh yeah.
Where you just jam his claws into a dude's throat and just toss him aside. It was great.
It was beautiful.
It was poetry in motion.
I was just gonna say it was poetry, sheer poetry.
What about best Spider-Man games? Video games from Spider-Man.
For PlayStation. What was that Spider-Man game on PlayStation? Oh my God.
Well, there was the original Spider-Man game on PlayStation 1. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that set the standard for all the games that came after it. But I still say the best one is Spider-Man 2.
Really?
Yeah, from the PlayStation 2. It was kind of loosely based on the movie and added other villains like Mysterio and Hobgoblin and stuff.
Okay.
But it was the first one to incorporate the mechanic that your web had to attach to something. You couldn't just swing anywhere.
Okay.
When you shot the web, you could see its arc hit a building or hit the trees as you're kind of doing the little quick pull thing. And that mechanic has been the standard since then. So I don't know. I just think that was the game that really nailed it.
The Spider-Man game for PS4 looks amazing. I've not played it at all. Is it out?
No, it's not out. It's not going to be out till next year.
It looks incredible.
Probably. It does look really incredible.
I've seen a bunch of cosplayers in that suit.
Yeah.
I'm debating buying one because it's fucking sick, dude.
It is really good. And it's a video game. So, you'll have like multiple DLC costume packs where you can make them look like any Spider-Man from any era of Spider-Man.
I was seeing some of the skins for it because there's been leaks of skins for it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And they have Scarlet Spider Kane. And I was like, done.
Yeah.
Done.
I mean,
show me nothing else.
Right. If you do Amazing Spider-Man, I'm in. If you do Ultimate Spider-Man, I'm in. If you do Black Suit Spider-Man, I'm in. There's just the possibilities are endless. It's like Batman, right? It's like the Arkham games with all their DLC suits. They kind of went overboard with it, but it was still a worthwhile thing to play the game when see him in the cutscene in a different costume.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, it's that time. From the world of Red Dragonin, the folks at SlugFest Games proudly present
The Battle for Greyport! A cooperative deck-building game with 5 playable characters, 7 different scenarios, and assortments of variants. Every game you play will be a little different. Hey guys, go to slugfestgames.com to find out more.
All right, guys, go to entertainthegeeky.com. You can follow us on all of our social media there. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you thought of this episode. I want to know what your favorite Spidey suit is, and I want to know what your favorite X-Men moment was. So there's your call to action. Give me your favorite X-Men moment. Give me your favorite Spidey suit. Say hi to Jason because he's filling in for Roger this week.
Hi.
And as always, stay geeky.